Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Austin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
Oh, man. We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
That was my fault. Oh my goodness.
We want to thank you guys for being here today at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your roles don't matter.
Yep, that's right. Your role's like playing on a virtual tabletop with no internet connection.
Yep.
That's rough.
not much of a online play without internet. So
Not online.
Yeah.
They kind of need that, yeah.
We got a really exciting show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about honestly, it's become my favorite virtual tabletop system, the Foundry VTT. I'm really excited to talk about that, and of course, we have lots of goodies to give away, as well as unearthed tips and tricks that you can bring with you on your next adventure. But before all that, we have a little bit of housekeeping to do.
As we always do.
Right. So we just finished on Friday. We finished issue 6 of our Capes and Crooks play tests. It's a bi-weekly streams you can catch on Fridays. This is our upcoming Kickstarter project that is going to be launching on, as of right now, and as long as nothing catastrophic happens, May 18th.
Right.
We've been pushing really hard. We've got new artwork coming in every day. It has been fantastic. I've been having a blast. Excuse the Bright Bomber pun. Running the play test, and my players seem like they've been having a really good time. And
It is so interesting to me how every single time I'm like it's actually really cool as like the levels progress, our characters just become so increasingly different. Like
Yes.
actually, like at level 1 we're all kind of like base, like yeah, we can kind of do some stuff, but as like the levels progress, like me and Ian are playing the same class, but we are completely different characters. Like nothing about us is similar in almost any way.
For
Besides
dice rolls,
my dice.
actually, were good last session.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm really excited for this. We just partnered up with a really important group. I'm keeping that on the lid right now, but we're bringing in a really big name to help do some work on this setting, so I'm super excited. If you're into superheroes, if you're into cyberpunk, that futuristic setting, this is definitely kind of a mesh of the two. So maybe consider checking out our Capes and Crooks Kickstarter project. You can head on over to critacademy.com/capesandcrooks, and you can get notified when our episode goes live. If you support the show and you want to support this project, please consider doing so within the first 24 to 48 hours that it launches. That is the most critical time to make sure a Kickstarter is successful. That is statistically proven by BackerKit and Kickstarter. So if you're looking to help us, that would be the best time to pledge. We've included some nice goodies. Some of the pledges will even include some of our other popular products, so I'm super excited for that. I think that'll do it for the house cleanup today. Before we get into our main topic, we like to start off every episode by giving away fat loots to you, our wonderful listeners.
Absolutely. And our RPG Fat Loot giveaway today is Riches of the Earth by Basil Wright. Imagine if every single potato chip flavor had a fandom behind it. That's the people of Tuberton. Tuberton itself is set up against a backdrop of the unsettling and unwelcome notion of a white woman controlling a town populated by non-white characters.
It's pretty funny. It's certainly a spoof style thing.
I actually prepared for this too, and I still can't do it. This is the sort of adventure where none of the people have to die, including the villain, which way through an ecologically accurate salt cave to uncover the mystery lurking within the depths. I practiced this. I actually talked to this one, and I still can't do it. Anyway, our winner today is Broad546. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I'm wondering if this that are both of you running the VTT in the background because y'all just froze on my screen.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing too.
Yeah, so maybe you won't be able to run it in the background on your end. I don't know, or me.
Let's close it down.
Right.
So,
But anyways, congratulations, yay! Woot.
like we're moving in Discord, but we're not moving on Twitch. It's weird.
Yeah, we're not moving on
Yeah.
the like your screens aren't moving on the screen capture for.
Wonder if I should just redo my video here real quick and
Yeah, why don't you guys jump out and jump back in, and I'll keep it
Like
going from
that.
there.
All right.
See if that makes a difference.
yeah, let's see if that's doing anything there.
So congratulations.
Nope,
For
it
those
did
that
not
don't
do anything.
know, Ian,
I don't know.
You.
what is a virtual tabletop?
Basically, a virtual tabletop, or VTT, is a all-in-one solution for using the internet to play, well, tabletop RPGs. When you use one, you can use it to play D&D or basically almost any other RPG you can think of. Because basically, that way you can all play online. You won't be in the same without being in the same spot, which has been obviously huge for a lot of people this past year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
go ahead.
And the things that they give you are like maps, chats, grid, dice rolling, in some cases character sheets, handouts, card decks, and also sometimes functions for macros, webcams, voice conferencing, background music, or even sound effects. There's a lot to it.
yeah, this is a very complete package. So it's tries to capture that at home kind of feel as much as it can, except with an actual, you have a tabletop grid in front of you.
Right. Yeah, so very exciting. Austin, would you like to go in a little more detail through the show notes while I fix the cameras?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, if we were trying to describe Foundry VTT, it's almost as if someone took up all their pent-up anger and frustrations at Roll20, and they were like, no, we can do this better. We can absolutely do this better. For power users and tinkerers and tech nerds, Foundry is the VTT that you want. You really don't need to look anywhere else. Foundry uses modern web technologies to create a super feature-rich experience that is infinitely customizable. Now, why do you mean infinitely customizable? It's because people can actually just make things for this product. It is people are. It's like a I don't know if you guys play on Steam or anything like that, but it's like a Steam marketplace, but for virtual tabletops. It's just crazy. The developer is also extremely responsive, and a large community has grown up around Foundry with modules that can do virtually anything.
Yeah.
Foundry really puts the ultimate power right in your hands, and you don't even have to create most of it because you can probably find someone who has already thought of it, and it's there for you.
Yeah, that's spot on, man. You really hit a note on the head. It's almost like you read that right from the notes. Good job.
Yeah, I wonder how.
Yeah, so I think I got it fixed.
Okay.
Go ahead. You said a but.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, but if you're intimidated by technology, or if any of your group plays on, like tiny Chromebooks, Foundry might not be for you. It is pretty intensive for something. It's because it just runs a lot of resources, so it does have that kind of issue behind it. Plus, there is the actual learning curve to use it effectively. Can be a little jarring, but they do have YouTube tutorials and stuff for that. You just have to actually sit through it.
Yeah. So one of the things that is worth noting that not unlike Roll20 or some of the other ones that are free to use, there is an upfront cost that is associated with Foundry. Some people may consider that a negative. I don't personally. And part of the reason why is, yes, the upfront cost is like $50, but because it's open to mods and the group that's running Foundry in general constantly is updating it and adding new assets and new features, meaning its growth potential is ridiculous and its customization is ridiculous. And I think that really is what you're paying for.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of the reason why it's a little more technical savvy, because it's designed for the more nerdy person who's willing to
Yeah.
go through the extra effort to add all the extra cool features to make sure their game is perfect. Now,
Now,
go ahead.
I do think it's worth mentioning, though, that like for Roll20, though, Fantasy Grounds and other services, that they do have subscription levels too.
Yep.
You should be paying every month. Here, it's a one-time cost.
That's
Yeah.
a really good point.
On top of that, you know that this is just going straight to the developers to make this better.
Yes.
So it's not like some large name corporation trying to, hoard the money or whatever. This is going straight back into the people because they're going to want to make this product better so that more people will buy it.
Yeah.
So even then, like, it's worth the $50.
So how about we go through and we talk about some of the cool features, and we can do this as we are looking at our program here. I've got it set up here so I can kind of play around a little bit. I don't know if they're in here or not, but the players. So as you can see here, one of the obvious features that you get is battle maps. Battle maps, battle mats, battle. Look at how good quality this one is. It's super crisp and clear. I think that's probably one of the things that you expect out of a virtual tabletop. It's got to allow battle maps. And I think this one gives a myriad of good quality features that the maps don't innately come with. One thing I've learned playing with some programs on map making is that some maps, when you make them, they come with, like, you can set in dynamic lighting and everything. This doesn't require the map already kind of have those set in. You can add them however you want, which is pretty cool. You can see here that it zooms out quite a bit. So you have a lot of playroom. This is a pretty big map, I think, but what's really interesting is I want to talk about really quick the things you can do as a dungeon master that just make your life incredibly simple. I don't think my players realize this, but if you see all these little white vein workers on here, because, I have a character who has AoE powers that just happen, so I figured it was super important that this battle take place where there's innocence and he had to be careful. But what's really cool about it, up in the top section here, and I want you to keep in mind, my understanding of this is very small compared to what this program can do.
Yes.
But what I have figured out is
a lot
pretty
to it.
cool. So normally you would think you would need, for instance, let's say 20 different tokens or something for like locals, right? So you got a villager token, for instance. You can then select one of those tokens and actually make changes to it on the fly and make it no longer that template. You can change its hit points. You can change out its name, its stats on the fly, and then create really quickly. So when your players, and this is why I love it as a DM, if the players decide that person's now important, I can change it. I've now given it a name, and you can do that all as you're going, which I just think is awesome. That also means you can take those generic stats and apply it across multiple tokens if you choose. So if I decide this is now a boss or a mini boss and I want to make 3 of them, those changes that I can make now means that I can change them across multiple tokens and then just change the image on the token right on the fly. As players, what were some things that jumped out at you that you really liked?
Being able to interact with other players for instance, I can go to like another player here and I can like change their condition. So like a lot in this one particularly, we had like a lot of sleep condition. You can see in the little top left corner of Stella's character there, you can see that there is like a little sleeping icon and whatnot. And I think that was something that was pretty big to me because that way I like when it's not when it's not my turn and like it's their turn or something and like there was a reaction that happened or something, I can just go over there and do it for them. They don't have to put the excess brain power for it.
Right.
I can just do it.
And that
Which
was
also
super
works for
helpful
the
for me.
DM.
Yes.
Yes.
He's like, it's just this little button. I was like, I don't know where that is. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's
I see Ian is playing with one of the other cool features that I really like about it. Is that you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing there, Ian?
Well, I was drawing a cone effect, though. Like, if I had an ability, which I don't, we could at least trace out where it's going to go and move it around as needed.
Which is really quick and everyone can see it. So there's no, if you're big onto wanting to know exactly what's in the way of your power and your effects, you have
I can
control over
rotate
it.
it.
And it's super easy to use. It's literally, you go up to the ruler, you click the effect you want. I'm going to pick a circle, and I just drag it for the effect. And then you can move the token wherever you want, and it shows you what it affects. That's really cool.
There's also like rectangles, so you can really make like line effects if you want. I know one time there was like 100-foot laser, which if we zoom out here, we can literally make one that is 100 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have those like excessively large maps, you can see that the whole vein building is currently
Being
gone.
poisoned.
So there is it is very limitless, honestly. And there's like one for just regular lines. So
And that's just using the stuff you can access as a player. The DM has way more tools involved they can use to, like lighting.
Yeah, so and that actually brings me to some of the stuff. Each of the tokens themselves can be set up with lighting. So let me get rid of some of this stuff that's blocking my view here. So when you click on a token, usually.
Well, it also depends on what settings you have.
Oh yeah, I'm up here. I'm still learning stuff. So, so if I click on these, first of all, I can rotate these, and I just thought that was cool as hell. So when they went to sleep, I just turned them sideways.
Oh, I just realized that I can use the arrow keys to move my character.
Oh, that is cool. I didn't. Oh, that's awesome.
That's actually kind of cool. I didn't know that.
So
we learned something new.
Oh, and that was actually what was cool about using it is we learned something every time we did it. So inside of these different settings here, which one is it? So this one, you can actually individually change the vision that they have. So I could create a stat block for a spy that might be the same as another stat block, but the only difference is it has dark vision. And so when you're running the color schemes, it shows up and blocks their vision of what they can and cannot see, which I think is really cool. That's one thing I've noticed this has got a lot of is dynamic lighting. There was a button I pressed yesterday that went, okay, here it is. It says it's a transition to darkness. So when you're telling a story and you're trying to, all right, you guys are setting down for the night, the sun is going down, you're lighting up the campfire, and it's getting dark, you can't really see beyond the light. It just fits with the narration. It's a click of the button. Now, I struggled to get it to go back the other time, but I think I finally figured it out. See, so dawn is approaching, the sun is cresting the horizon, and
oh wow, it comes back real slow and nice.
Yeah, so cool. It's little things like that. Now, mind you, my Foundry has no add-ons right now, and there are
this is just
hundreds.
base.
There are hundreds of add-ons. I do want to talk about some of the other features. Giving control, you can pass control, of course, to the other players. So if I decide, hey, Ian, today you're going to run Big Brutus in addition to your character, and I also am doing this other stuff, so I'm going to, Austin, I'm going to have you run a character. That way when, let's say a character dies, you can give them control of a monster, so while they're unconscious, they can still, do some stuff if you're not like me and including fantastic story building during those times. But it's
that character has died. I'm going to. You're not dead. You're just kind of dead.
And I mean, let's talk about some of the obvious stuff it comes with. It does have Fog of War, which allows you to block. The area is blocked until the adventurers kind of meander through it, and then the map becomes revealed, which I think is really cool. But what they did that I thought was awesome, and I don't know that I have seen it, is once you got a couple levels. You've got one that once they travel, they kind of can now, it's revealed, or it's just not revealed except for what they can see. So they can't keep track. I think that's awesome if you want to run a literal physical maze that they can't see beyond their line of sight. So it just all goes black after they pass it, which I think is pretty cool.
Certainly more realistic, which you can't do, honestly, in like an actual tabletop setting. You can't do Fog of War. So that is definitely like one of the benefits of having a virtual tabletop, because you can add those kind of elements. You don't have to theater of the mind it right now. You can literally just say, you guys can't see this. You can't react to this as a player.
Yeah.
You can't be influenced by this decision because you literally do not know.
Zambo Nuts makes a good point. This is going to be a weird podcast. We should make sure we're describing exactly what we're doing.
Oh, well. Yeah.
They get the point.
Yeah, I actually got good example of Fog of War pulled up right now in like my personal Foundry, but I can't really show the screen though. So
Yeah, well, that's terribly not convenient. It is
No.
worth noting that Foundry also supports animated maps, weather effects, as you've seen, day and night effects, which is really cool. And all those things are just enhancements to the game. There's a lot of Patreons you can support that create animated maps and stuff. So,
Yeah.
obviously, just like other virtual tabletops, it includes dice and that you can hide, character sheet integration, customization. I love macros. You can create complex macros that throw your dice, roll your attack all at once. If you want to speed up your game's combat, which is awesome. There are mods and stuff to get a variety of like virtual different style dice that just scatter across the screen, which is pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's also really easy to roll for well, specifically for like a D&D styled virtual tabletop. It's really easy to roll your stat as well. You can kind of just double click on the character and you hold the shift key and then you just press a button and it just rolls immediately a d20 for you. Or if you have to do like a strength saving throw, it actually brings up the option. You get a saving throw or an ability check, and you can choose one of those, and then it rolls a d20 for that.
Yep.
So it's actually really awesome how well it does this kind of stuff.
The one thing I really like is that it's so versatile regardless of what game you're playing. Obviously, I play 5th edition, and it does come with the SRD for that and many other games. So it's quick. Once you learn it, it's easy to apply it to other formats that you're running on.
I
sure.
do think it's worth noting too that when you fire up Foundry itself, it does have a list of modules you can download in the modules tab, and it does have a game system tab as well too. They can download some, but that's just scratching the surface. If you go to the actual website, there's actually more modules available that you can download.
Right.
Same with game system as well. That's just something that's worth noting.
For sure.
It was worth like checking out what games do you play to go there and look and see if this is a good product for you, but to see if it's supported.
Yeah, absolutely. There is. So I've been talking about how great this is because honestly, I've been falling in love with it. Which is, I'm much more of a theater of the mind person, but something like this is great when I do want to run a more complex, strategic, battle. And it comes with some really cool things, but there are some drawbacks that are worth noting. By itself, the DM runs the game from their computer. So if you're the DM and you've got a old ass computer, you're probably going to have problems because all the players are connecting through the browser to your machine. I don't think that's as big as a problem as I make it sound, but it is something to be aware of. Yeah.
Regardless. Yeah.
But because of that, they do offer. There are some third-party companies that you can find right on Foundry's website for like $5 a month. They'll host your games, which means your players can access them at any time, not only when you're running it on your game, when you're running it from your computer. Which is, on Friday they tried connecting and my computer decided to be Windows and restart and update, so they couldn't access it. So I would say is a con, but it's a very minor one considering the fee for like hosting is only a few dollars. And honestly, I don't know about anybody else, but very rarely are the players going to go and do that stuff on their own time anyway. So I don't think it's as a big a deal. If Austin wanted to, hey Justin, can you boot up the server? Sure, I'll leave it running while I'm doing other things. That's fine. But I definitely could see some people seeing that as a minus. It does have integrated chat and video streaming and music uploading and audio triggers. Oh my god. I figured this out way too late. It has audio triggers. So like you can set it so there's a door opening anytime they say that they go through a door and you click that tile. It makes like a or a door noise, or if it's a trap, you can do the trap slingshot and releasing of the arrows, or a sound of a fireball explosion. Or this is what got me really excited, is if your boss NPC is on the map, you can click it and have it play a pre-recorded monologue, like in character voice and everything. And
that's actually pretty cool.
That to me is just. That's awesome, and I think that's the coolest thing ever.
Really sets the tone for what's going on, That's cool.
Let's see if I can find a good example here.
Yeah, I'm so there's like I said, there's a lot to this. The scenes that they do are pretty cool. I'll click open. When you have the Foundry open on the right hand side, you have all your options similar to like Roll20 and whatever. And you can see I got the Vein Lab here, so that loads that particular scene. And as soon as I click off of it, I can bring up this very appearing overly complex, configuration screen, but it's pretty simple when it's just talking about the name of the map, the background image you're going to load, fog exploration, all that stuff. And you add new scenes and can jump between them. But you can share, and I think Roll20 does this too, you can keep the players on one scene while you're editing and making changes to another scene, which is pretty dope. But yeah, overall, it's got everything you need and more. It's far more complex. Obviously, you can do generic drawing and stuff. You can enable that. So can you guys do that? Do you have the pencil icon on yours?
Nope.
No.
Oh, so
Those are
maybe
not
that's only
DMs.
yeah. Well, I think you can give permission to everyone for those things. Does Control Z work? Yeah, it does. Sweet. So I just learned something. All right. So what are some other things that you guys really liked about this program?
I think we covered it all pretty well, in my opinion.
I know we touched on modules earlier, but one thing I did like about a few of them though was how much connection it added to other websites. Like I saw there was a Fantasy Grounds import module, for example, where let's say you bought a Horde of the Dragon Queen on Fantasy Grounds, you can use that in theory to import that into Foundry.
Oh, that's cool.
And for that matter, I also found the module 2 for actually importing material from D&D Beyond.
Oh,
and
that's awesome. I didn't know that.
So I built
really
a character in D&D Beyond and was able to import that in the Foundry.
That's awesome, actually.
That is really cool. I didn't know that.
Yep, it's not straightforward as you expect though, because you're not exactly connecting to your account, because it does it might in that case though, you do have to open some the click the link. You also have to open up the inspection tool that's in Chrome, for example, and copy a specific variable over. But
so I was just playing with some of the walls, and I'm moving the character around. I don't know. Can you guys see the shadow casting?
Mm-hmm.
As I put the walls invisible because it doesn't show the walls visibly, right? Because you're doing them on your map. So you're just drawing these lines and saying, hey, this is a door. And a little door icon popped up. And then I can open and close it, and it casts the light from the player and what they can see. Like in this case, there's a civilian hiding on the other side of the door. So and that just goes right over top of any map you're using. It's not it's just basically, for me, I think it was lines. So when I want to click a door, for instance, and I scroll down to where the door is at, and I just drag a door, and then I go back to the normal screen, a little door icon pops up, and when I click it, it shows up, which I just think is really a nice little feature.
I think it's just some walls in the middle of nowhere because I can't move my token through it.
I did. So yeah, so those little things like that are built in to fit to any customized map, which is really dope. Overall, I think it's a really great experience. Obviously, I don't know all that it's capable of because I'm still learning. It does require a bit more setup than some of the other programs to get going. But yeah. I think it's worth it for the customization. So
now, and as I kind of touched on before, there is kind of a learning curve to this. But I think once you take the time and actually get the hang of it, the benefit is worth it.
Absolutely, and
sure.
I'm certainly on the same page as you when it comes to that. Is there any other thing that we might have missed that you guys really like that you wanted to talk about before I go through the quick my own recommendations? Yeah.
I know, I know we touched on how this has the SRD from 5th edition, for example, which includes a spell. So you a cast Fireball, for example, you drop a Fireball token on the map, which shows the area.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of a minor nitpick, but that's more of how I run in 5th edition. My only complaint was it actually drew an actual circle, so not a square. And every time I run a map in 5th edition, because it's a square-based grid, I always treat everything as a square. I just wish there was a way to change that, per se. So,
and do we not?
I'm sure there is.
I was going to say, do we just not know it and it does exist? Because it seems like something that they would set up. Because I know when I was picking the maps, there were some options in there for that, so that might be on me. I do want to say, upfront cost of $50 may seem a little steep, but once you get it, you own that software. That's yours. You're not shackled to a monthly or yearly subscription to you gain all the benefits of it. So,
I mean, like accessing like the DM tools, like and even D&D Beyond, that's a monthly subscription. So
yeah.
Or Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or all the other various services out there.
And
so
it's worth noting that the players don't need this. I purchased it and they can access it. So that really is what makes it really good too. Like if we all decided we wanted to try this and each player said, well, I'll pitch in $10, a whole regular group of party, it'd cost everyone $10 and you would have this experience. And I think that's worth it. So that's just my opinion. It's quickly becoming my favorite. I do have to say, I do think the real negative that I could find really was just the complexity, and I can see that turning some people off. It doesn't bother me because I don't mind learning, but I can feel some people turning away from that. So
yeah. And as we said too, like Foundry does have plenty of documentation on their website on various features, and there's plenty of YouTube tutorials as well too.
Yeah, they got their own little YouTube thing, and most of them are anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. I think it keeps them pretty short, so you can just find the one that's relative to what it is you're looking to do, or probably do what Ian most likely did, is just watch them all as it goes down the list. So, all right, I think that'll do it for our main topic today. The Foundry virtual tabletop. I love it. It's great, and it hasn't pissed me off nearly as much as Roll20. Not that I don't like Roll20.
It has its uses.
Yes, and the fact that that's free is a huge kind of benefit. So
yeah.
Alrighty. I'm supposed to check something really quick. Okay, I had to check something because Alicia sent me something earlier. So, I do want to, before we move on to our Unearthed Tips and Tricks, I would like to give a huge shout out to our Whitaker's Well of Wondrous Magic Items. It is a 40 or so page document that you can use to randomly generate magic items on the fly for your players, or you can randomly generate them in advance, and they range, it's very much inspired by the Diablo games, Path of Exile, all those sorts of action RPGs where everything's based on an affix and prefix system where a certain name is tied to a certain effect. Of the bull, I think, or of the bear is bonuses to strengths in its various incarnations. And it's just a lot of fun. If you listen to the show, we've had a couple of the items on. To kind of, as I was working through and developing it, but that should be coming out Friday, April 16th. So keep an eye out for that if you really like stuff like this. I put a lot of my heart and soul and a massive amount of research into it, so I hope you guys really do enjoy it. All right, how about we get into what it is everybody cares about, our Unearthed Tips and Tricks.
And now, what you've all been waiting for, our Unearthed Tips and Tricks segment, where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
All right, who would like to tell us about our character concept today?
I'll take that. Our character concept was submitted by Zambo Nuts. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it.
I would go with that.
Our character concept is Mick Guyver. This character would have proficiency in a bunch of different tools and kits, such as like tools, tinkers, herbalism come to mind, as well as proficiency with survival. It would always be looking for creative ways to solve problems, and would probably have a basic weapons, but would rather be creative when it comes to improvising traps or other weapons. As a class, they'd be thinking rogue, artificer, or maybe a little bit of both. And for a power gamers, do a rock gnome and take the Wonder Maker feat. Additionally, this fits well with a Bard's Skill Monkey build.
What does that feat do?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
As many these can also help you get as many proficiencies as you can. The Wonder Maker feat, as they then mention, is masters a tinker techniques of your people. You gain the benefits of you gain +1 to dexterity or intelligence, max of 20. You make a check using your proficiency with tinker's tools. You add double your proficiency bonus to the check. And when you make a device of your tinker trait, you have the following additional options for what you can make, which includes alarms, calculators, lifter, timekeeper, and a weather sensor.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is, I love the MacGyver character concept. Somebody who's constantly just making useful equipment out of things just lying around. Like,
Right.
I would totally love to see this also combined with like the Tavern Brawler feat, where you just beat people with random objects that you find lying around and turn them into like dangerous weapon. Oh man, that sounds so cool. What do you think, Austin?
I kind of like that idea too. Just kind of like, I mean, I could turn this into a good kind of like baseball bat, but I'm also gonna let it tell time. So when I hit him in the head, it says it's 5:56 p.m.
What the hell? It is worth noting that Wonder Maker feat is a Rock Gnome exclusive feat under normal conditions. Of course, your DM can waive that if they want. Which honestly,
Right.
I don't know why you couldn't. I mean, anybody can be a tinkerer in in way I see, but
Right.
I think it's really cool. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm starting to think of what are some cool little traps I can make with the tackle box. Is that what is it? The block and tackle? Is it a?
Yeah, that's an option.
You can make like that's like the like a pulley system, isn't it?
Very much.
So just like having little tripwires that just drop things on people's heads. Also great for being a jester and making pranks on people. So overall, I really like this character concept. Well done, Zambo Nuts. Zambo Nuts. Moving on to our monster variant. I have that up on the screen for everyone here. So I just want to take a moment to talk about it's Zambo Nuts. Okay. I want to take a second to talk about our awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Every week I get to spend valuable time creating wonderful monsters, not just the stats, but making these beautiful illustrations that go into our monthly UTT book. Every week I compile this and all the notes and everything that we've talked about on the show into all the UTTs into a single bundle for everyone. I wanted to give a great example of what it actually looks like, so you can head on over to critacademy.com, or I'm sorry, you can head on over to facebook.com and pick up the Dwarven Staticaster at no cost. It's available for free. Just Google it inside the Facebook search and you can find it. But what do you guys think about this layout? I mean, I like obviously I picked the purple theme for our because it's the color of the show, but
Right.
Layout. I like it.
Yeah. I think that looks sick.
it's true. That dwarf shooting lightning is pretty awesome. So
I do like the artwork attached to it.
let's talk a little bit about what the Dwarven Staticaster is. You're going to start with the origin stat block, the Oni. The Staticasters are a unique bunch among Dwarven kind. Born mostly from gray dwarves, but does show up in all varieties. Inside beats a unique spark of power. They learn to control the power of crackling lightning, releasing it through their body or in massive bursts. Lightning can be seen constantly leaping and bouncing around their stocky frames. With a bit of concentration, they can push lightning into dangerous auras, making it difficult to even stand near them when they wish to be kept left alone. So one thing that's really cool about these is you can see that we got the background. We also have lore that the DM can feed to the players based on their knowledge checks, which reveals not only powers but like weaknesses or special abilities that they have that they might use on somebody. So it's pretty cool. Like there's one that talks about being able to convert enemy offensive attacks into a defensive maneuver and then re-releasing it as a attack of their own, which is basically absorb elements. So let's talk about the core features that they get. You're going to change their spell list. The spell list is going to be Shocking Grasp and Invisibility. Now, these are both at will. Sticking with the gray dwarf theme, what are they, Duragar? The invisibility
Duragar, yep.
at will is just a thing. Needs to be a thing, so it is. We're going to give them once a day they can cast Absorb Elements, Call Lightning, and Shield. Surprise! If you don't know, this is a challenge rating 7 and is not for the faint of heart. Some of the core features that we have given them specifically is Crackling Aura. I'm sure my boy Austin here recognizes some of this. At the start of each of the Staticaster's turns, each creature within 5 feet of it takes 1d6 lightning damage. A creature that touches the Staticaster or hits it with a melee attack while within 5 feet of it takes 1d6 damage as well. We're also giving it also has the Enlarge feature, which is a Grey Dwarf thing or a Duragar thing, where for 1 minute the dwarf magically increases in size. Anything it is wearing or carrying enlarges with it. While enlarged, it gets double its damage dice on strength-based attacks and etc., which is pretty cool. We pick it up with the war pick, so because it's an underground guy, he's gonna beat you with a pick, right? And then of course the really cool thing is the Static Burst, which recharges on a 6 at the start of a round. It releases a crackling burst of lightning in a 60-foot line, 5 feet wide. Each creature in the line must succeed a DC 15 Dexterity saving throw or take 9d8 lightning damage on a failed or half as much on a successful one. What do you guys think?
I really like the recharge. I love rechargers because you can get so crazy with them, and that seems kind of crazy. 98's a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
But challenge rating 7 makes sense.
So let's talk about something else that I added that isn't on the show notes. I added a legendary actions because why not? So it's going to have 3 legendary actions. It's going to get Emboldened Presence. If the static caster is enlarged, it can assume a powerful stance, giving strength to nearby allies of its choice within 20 feet. They can roll a d4 to add that number to the next attack for the next attack made before the end of their turn. So increase everyone's damage just by being present. Check out my greatness. Now, in my mind, he's like sending out like lightning or something to like beef him up or something. I haven't really thought about the logistics of it. And then we're gonna give it Static Rush. The Static Caster rolls a recharge for its Static Burst. More like lightning, right?
I love those kinds of legendary actions.
And then, of course, because, he's a dwarf and a meathead, we're going to give him Overpowering Charge. If he moves at least 15 feet in a straight line towards a creature, the creature must succeed a DC 15 saving throw or be knocked prone. If the target is knocked prone, the Staticaster can make 1 attack with his war pick. Knock you down and smash you. I love it. Or pierce you.
Nice.
Touch
Real
you.
good.
Yeah, so... That's it. Overall, I really like this. The art that came with it was really good, and I think that if you're looking to shock your players into some excitement, here's a way to do it. I really like the idea of this character being like some sort of like head honcho of a group, and the big boss, and because you don't expect a big dwarf to start shooting lightning at you in most cases. So at least I don't.
Actually.
But,
I certainly wouldn't.
All right, I think that'll do it for our monster variant, the Dwarven Staticaster. Austin, would you like to tell us about our encounter?
Absolutely. So our encounter of the podcast is, as you might have guessed, the Foundry.
Nice!
A dangerous gnome artificer named Anita Fixin
I forgot about that.
is on the loose. Anita has been attacking merchant caravans to gain access to powerful tools and materials to make her weapons even more dangerous. She's been attaching small contraptions to wagon axles that explode when subjected to serious impacts. Excuse me. Once detonated, she robs the targets of any equipment of value to her. The characters have tracked Anita down to her lair, an old, thought to be abandoned dwarven forge hidden in a mountain. She has rebuilt and redesigned the area to be nearly fully automated with clockwork and gear-forged equipment. The area is protected and managed by constructs of her own design. Use the quadrone and pentadrone stat blocks for this. The area is littered with traps and hazards that threaten the characters. Moving conveyor belts, a creature that ends their turn on a conveyor belt moves 5 feet every turn. Massive mechanical claws, so it's a +6 to grapple checks. Escape DC 14. And massive vats full of molten hot metal. Use fire breathing statue for this one. All the while, Anita thoughts and controls the foundry and its hazards from behind a thick wall of reinforced glass. Kind of like a very Saw-like moment in this one, where you kind of the game master kind of sits behind and lets all the other things do the work for it.
Yeah.
But I do like that. So, oh, I'm sorry. This is supposed to be like this.
Yeah, it's certainly this is a really fun encounter that I really enjoyed. Obviously, since we covered the Foundry virtual tabletop, it made sense that I would somehow tie at least one of the Unearthed Tips and Tricks into it. Here you can see that I took on the Foundry as a location. Anita fixin', you know me and my stupid puns, so it only made sense. I like this because it doesn't talk about the tracking, but I think the tracking and figuring out where the devices are coming from or who's planting them, and then they got to follow them back to get to the lab is a fun aspect of this encounter. And overall, I think that having all the gizmos and contraptions do all the work sounds like a lot more fun than just the traditional monster combat. How do you guys feel about that?
Fun. Sorry, go ahead, Ian.
I do think that going through going through traps is something you don't see too often. I'm sure some DMs do. I just haven't encountered very many of them. But I could also see this section be treated as a skill challenge as well, too.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree with that.
That's a good
it really does. It is a nice way to kind of take away from the, yes, find person, fight mob before fight person, done. And it's just, it kind of messes with that formula quite a bit. So I do like that.
Yep. And that's how I roll.
Good.
All right, so yeah. I think
that is the encounter.
Yeah, that'll do it for our encounter. Ian, would you like to tell about our what? Ian, would you like to tell us about our magic item?
Our magic item is Phasing Stem Pack. It's wondrous and uncommon. To activate this stem pack as a bonus action, you gain the effects of the blink spell. And for those of you who don't know what that does, you basically flicker in and out to a parallel world, which is close by.
Closer than you think.
Yep. Alternatively, when you take damage, you can use your reaction to turn invisible and teleport up to 30 feet when unoccupied space you can see. That's can be quite handy, actually.
Yeah, it can.
You remain invisible until the start of your next turn, or until you attack or cast a spell. Stem pack is empty after you activate it. I'm guessing this is a one and done item.
Yeah, I realize potions don't actually say that because they have the potion descriptor on it. So I was like, I probably should make it very clear that that's a one and done item. What do you guys think?
A rogue will find this very useful.
It's a death with benefits syringe. You just kind of stab yourself. You're like, oh, I don't feel very good. And then you're dead, briefly.
Yeah, so this is certainly something that I have designed into Capes and Crooks as an idea of what I consider a style of items that will be around, because most things aren't going to be the traditional drink like a potion. They're going to be injections. I don't know if that's acceptable, kind of like a drug, but that's honestly the best way to deliver beneficial effects, right?
You could also, in that kind of like setting, you could really flavor that as like, kind of like almost like you're going straight into like a data styled universe. So like you just see like ones and zeros everywhere, and you're kind of like manipulating outside of the space of current reality, and you're in this weird metaverse.
That's pretty cool. It's funny you mentioned that because I almost got rid of the ethereal realm in Capes and Crooks, and I didn't. You want to know why? Because I want a ghost class. I want ghost villains. And so I've changed the ethereal realm to be all about where ghosts hang out. And when they transition between realms, it's them passing through the veil from that realm to this realm. So I ended up keeping it for that reason. But I absolutely love what you came up with there.
It's just something a little different than, oh man, it's the astral whatever plane.
Yeah.
Sea of dead things.
Right.
Oh no.
Well, what's cool though is like and this is just me being kind of going off script here. The idea of an entire adventure on missing people, and it turns out that there's a superpowered villain who can pull normal people into that realm and then like enslaves them or something because they can't do anything. So anyways, that's a whole nother thing. So that'll do it for our magic item, the phasing stim pack. Our dungeon master tip of the day is story linking. And this 100% comes from JVC Perry. He has an amazing set of articles from his Call from the Deep series, where he writes about all the things that he learned, writing an entire campaign book, lot like Storm King's Thunder or Descent into Avernus. And he makes this beautiful article about everything that he learned in that process. If you're a content creator and you want to make a campaign book, go read his stuff because you will not regret it. Now, on to the actual Dungeon Master tip. One way in which I try to make things clear for players in Call of the Deep is by including as many links as possible. Now, my definition of a link in this context is a piece of information that connects one part of the adventure to another. Most commonly, it's a way of connecting one chapter to the next or a side quest to the main plot. But remember, characters don't know which chapter of the adventure they're in, or whether they're following a side quest rather than a main plot. Links help keep them kind of on track. Because players don't understand what's going on most of the time, we need to include as many of these as possible, and we need to ensure that they're not hidden behind skill checks or other choke points in the game. Links are quite obvious when you think about them. In Chapter 1 of Call of the Deep, the biggest links are the Seguin footprints leading out from the Crash Nautiloid and the map of the pirates that attack in the Sanguine Lair. So you got two links immediately there that are tied to the Sanguine and the Nautiloid. These links help move the characters through a campaign and give clear guidance on what the most narratively satisfying next step is. And to help get your head around links, think about your favorite book, film, or television series. What do the characters discover during them that help them move the story forward? There are two major ways to include links, but by no means are the only ones. And the best way in both situations, he agrees, is liberally. You make a lot of them. Put them everywhere so it's super obvious. In this example, you got lots of links that are gated behind ability checks, and then if you've got lots of links, it's okay to gate them behind ability checks. But if you're only going to use a few, they should be around exploration. A really good example of the exploration was in the article, when I remember, is that there's a item hidden underneath the bed in a room, right? It's just under the bed. So if somebody does a skill check, oh, you look under the bed, you find this. But if a player just says, I'm going to go look under the bed, they find it, no skill check required. And that's a very distinct difference between something behind a skill check and something found with exploration. Because in my experience, exploration can use both, which I think is really, really great. What do you guys think about this?
Actually, the example you just gave, I don't think that applies to just exploration, though, because I do think,
right,
let's be real here, I know, like when it comes to role-playing, some people are hardcore, you have to role-play it out, but there's no reason why you can't just go, I want to convince the Lord here I'm an awesome dude to hang out with, so I'm going to try to tell him a joke and roll a diplomacy check.
Right, and that's all you have to
That's
say.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
You actually mentioned it doesn't apply just to exploration, and that was kind of the point before. These are the two major ways, but by no means the only way. What do you think, Austin?
So I'm kind of confused on what my cat's doing in front of me. She just kind of came onto the screen over
Being
here.
a cat, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But as for using the usage of links and saying to use them liberally, I definitely agree. It's I'm gonna be honest. A lot of cat, you gotta do something. A lot of the uh, a lot of times as players, me being a player and at some points a DM, like you kind of really do need just a lot of things that point to this. You can't actively point take the players to the sign, but you can make a lot of arrows pointing at that sign to say, "Hey, go this way."
Right.
So
Element. I'm for my Monday group. I'm running Princess of the Apocalypse, and for better or worse, it's a very sandboxy module. And I do think you do need to add a lot of links to move things along. In fact, I think I gave one link way too soon, for example. From the sense of, that link does tie into the adventure as a whole, but they're still in the tutorial area, if you will. So, like, when the player tries to go into that one link hardcore right off the bat, it's like, I'm not going to have any payoff right now. And there's been a few points. There's been a few times, too, where my players said, yeah, if you feel like you need to railroad us a little bit just to keep things moving along, go right ahead.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's hard to find that balance.
The other example, one of the other examples he used, I pulled it up because it was really good. He talks about the Tritons of this underwater city are having trouble with the Kuatolas stealing their stuff. And that's just kind of something that's going on. But the characters actually took interest in that and decided to seek out the fishy thieves. Now, mind you, this underwater plateau fort thing had nothing to do with the plot, which is an elder brain grafted onto a kraken trying to take over all of the Sword Coast. Has nothing to do with that. However, when the characters went that way, they found a traumatized Githyanki knight that has a direct connection to what's going on. So while what was going on around it had nothing to do with it, by tossing in one link back to the main plot, the characters, oh right, we're supposed to be doing that. Let's go that way. And all of a sudden, that weird kind of side quest is now linked back. So I think it's really great and a powerful tool. That's why I wanted to make sure I shared it with all of you. So. All right, that'll do it for our Dungeon Master Tip story linking. Compliments of JVC Perry. If you haven't picked up his work, you need to. The guy is a author D&D adventure genius. Next, we have our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by Planner Positioning System. Austin, would you like to tell us about that?
Absolutely. The instant summon spell is a pretty neat ritual spell. While using it to cause an item of 10 pounds or less to be summoned to you doesn't seem like a powerful feature, it can be pretty useful, such as summoning a special set of armor, weapon, or item to deal with a particular problem at hand. Since the only limit is weight and components, you could, in theory, make anything available on command. This, however, is not, at least in our opinion, the best use of this power. The best use of this power is as a powerful tracking tool.
Yeah.
If another creature is holding or carrying the thing you've bound with instant summons, not only do you learn who the creature is located that has it, but more importantly, you learn who the creature is that is possessing the item. That's a little convoluted, but the point is you know who that person is.
And where they're at.
Yes. This is a fantastic for a number of reasons. Most noticeably tracking a villain or monster back to their lair, or identifying who has been stealing from a noble, guild, or character by setting up some potential items to be stolen imbued with this power. And while this may not seem like much, Justin can assure you, your game master will drop their jaw when you toss this concept and wrinkle their big bad enemy guys' plans. Combining this with some sleight of hand, and you can force the enemy to carry your improvised tracker. And did we mention that it doesn't matter how far away it is? Even crossing other planes of existence, Say he's real smart. He's trying to be real careful. You know, he's in a demi-plane. He's like, there's no way they'll ever find this. You now know he's in a demi-plane.
I spy with my instant summons. You give back my shit.
and I would be like, oh, if I was the villain, I'd be like, oh my god, how? Who did this?
That's awesome. What do you guys think about this?
It's like a GPS, but better.
Yeah.
Because it's instant.
What do you think, Ian?
I was working in chat, so I wasn't paying too close attention.
No, it's okay. I got it. Yeah.
okay.
So this is something that is, I never knew it did this, because when you hear of instant summons, global positioning satellite is not something that comes to mind when you read it. But when you actually break down it, that's what it is. So as a player, being able to easily set up a trap and wait for somebody to grab the object and then just track them back to their secret lair, learning exactly where everything is at or which directions and paths they take, is certainly a powerful tool and a really great way to use this otherwise mundane power. This is like
It's a ritual, by the way.
Yeah, which means you can do it as many as you want, right?
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, because you can do this on across multiple items, I think, right? I
believe
don't.
so.
I don't
it doesn't-
think.
You could also just recast it if it doesn't. So, like...
Yeah, I think there's no limit, though. Like, I think you can apply this to many items, and allowing you... Though you can only summon one at a time, I think. But anyways, overall, it's a pretty simple one, but it's a very fun idea to tinker with if you want to kind of throw a curveball for tracking. So,
Like, I get the places being handy where if you want to track down where the villain's secret vault is.
Yep, absolutely. Especially if you can convince, like, even, you don't even got to wait for somebody to steal it. You can offer somebody a gift as a reward or as a prize or, hey, you've earned this. Yeah, here. Oh, this is for you. I made it for you. You can also
Who's gonna
use
say no?
Yeah, right. You can also use it to track your own allies. I really care about Austin's character, and I want to make sure that he's taken care of. Or maybe I suspect him of being kind of sketchy, so I give him a nice little ring that I've bound, and occasionally figure out where he's at. That's very that's kind of disturbing the more I think about it.
He's over here.
What's he doing way up there? Anyways, I think that... Oh, I gotta... That came out of nowhere. Sorry, yawning. That'll do it for our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by utilizing the planner positioning system. Before we close out today, we have another gift to give away, compliments of our generous sponsors. Ian, would you like to tell us what our prize is and who our winner is today?
Prize today is Hit or Run. Crime or punishment? Are the characters simply a party to a murder for hire caper? Are they serving the greater good by exacting long overdue justice? Uh-oh.
We're good.
PCs will face a little combat and a lot of challenges during the busiest 24 hours of their lives in this small-town adventure. But success will bring great rewards, including perhaps getting out alive. It does seem to be an important step.
Yes. The greatest reward, surviving.
That's funny.
Winner today is Chaotic Maze. That wins? No problem. Head over to createacademy.com and subscribe for your chance to win, and check out our other free stuff we give away all the time.
Yes, lots of free stuff. So, that'll do it for our show today. Before we close out, I would just like to let everyone know that Alex Baum, myself, and a group of other D&D content creators have a wonderful actual play coming out that we are starting on May 31st. May 21st. My calendar changed. On May 21st at 6:30 Central, I believe. And yeah, my calendar moved on me. So I'm really excited to be part of this amazing show. She is an awesome person. You've seen her on the show. She's got great personality, and I'm super excited to have her as a dungeon master. So keep close attention on our social media, as well as the after show announcements of when this awesome podcast will begin. You'll be able to follow us on twitch.tv/AlexBomb. Alex is spelled wrong. Don't forget.
Yeah.
It's backwards. So I'm super, super excited. Well, the words are mixed up. Anyways, so I'm really excited to be part of that. And honestly, it's the group, the chat I've been a part of. Everyone's just got great synergy, and everyone is hilarious. And I really think it's just going to be a fun ass time. So come and join us and let us tickle your dice. I think that will do it. Maybe. I don't think I missed anything, did I?
Well, be sure to join us for our next episode, where we're going to discuss Whitaker's Well of Wonders magic items. Don't want to forget that part.
We should probably talk about that.
And of course, if you enjoy the show and want to support us, visit us at critacademy.com and follow us on all of our social media.
The name of the show is Initiative and Intrigue. How did I forget the name?
Don't forget that part. Initiative and Intrigue.
Yes.
Keep that in your search bar.
Yeah.
Because you'll get to see Justin be a player and not a DM. So that's always good. Because it's a weird time. But it's a good time. And of course, check out our YouTube. Justin does some amazing shorts on there. Please check them out. They're so good. And of course, leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you find us, honestly. So yeah, that's the show.
Yeah,
it is. My only complaint about this episode was I don't think we did Foundry any justice, just because there's so much to it. We just can't have possibly covered everything.
Yeah, there's just not enough time in the world for us to cover all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's true of a lot of the content, especially when I cut the show down a little bit shorter. So, anyways, I'm really excited for this. I've been working hard on this generator, along with all the other stuff that I'm working on, because apparently that's all I do, because now why I have no free time. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to support us, please head on over to critacademy.com. Follow us on social media. Leave us a review. Please consider picking up some of our fat loot, some of our content, or consider supporting our Kickstarter when it comes up of Capes and Crooks. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Austin.
I'm your co-host, Ian. Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes.
See you guys. Bye.
See you.